Hi my lovies, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be sharing with you guys the 5 big changes that I made when transitioning from singlehood to marriage. And I'm sharing this with you today based off of my personal experiences and testimony. I am by no means a pastor or a therapist or anyone that studied on this information. All I can tell you is what I've been through and share that with you in order to give you hope and inspiration. So let's get started. When Trey and I got married, we were both 25 years old, and to some that is really young, but we had been together since I was 17, so we'd experienced a lot over the years and had grown up together, and so there was a lot of history and trust in the foundation of our relationship. One of the biggest things that we decided to do, I would say about the 3rd month of marriage, is to revert back to just being friends. I think we'd entered a point where we were trying to be this ideal image of a married couple and trying to do everything perfect. Like, for instance, I would try to cook every day from scratch a meal for him, and I would literally drive myself crazy for the entire day trying to come up with what I'm going to cook, go to the grocery store every day, get the ingredients. I couldn't cook at this time. I still can't cook all that great now, but I definitely couldn't cook back then. And I remember one day he came home and I had like some minute rice on the stove, and he was like, "What is that? Who cooks rice in a bag?" And I'm like, I do. It hurt me because I was just kind of like, man, it really hits you after the whole honeymoon part, and you come home and you really realize, like, wow, like I have a responsibility as a wife now to make sure that we eat and the house is taken care of, but I don't know how to cook, so where do I start? Yeah, the minute rice was a fail, but I no longer make minute rice, so I've come a long way. Back to the point. What I was saying is that we decided to be friends first. So when saying that, we were just very intentional about, if we didn't know how to do certain things or if we didn't know the answer to certain things, we would just be candid and honest and let each other know that, and be able to come to each other and be willing to help each other out. It wasn't just who could be the best spouse, it was who could help that other spouse or that other person the most. And so we were friends. We were able to laugh with each other and enjoy this wonderful time of the first year of your marriage, where, you know, in other cases it can be really rough, but we were just kind of able to court each other again, go out, just take the big pressures of man and wife off, and realize that, you know, we loved each other first, we were friends first, so let's remind each other of that goodness, that foundation. Okay, so the second change that we made was definitely finances. My husband, Trey, at the time, he had already established himself in his job. I was still in law school, my last year. We actually got married during my last year of law school. So there were differences there, of course, and when you mesh those two together and you're dealing with finances where, you know, two people are living off the same income, off the same bank account, things can get a little heated in certain instances. In my case, I felt as if I wasn't able to contribute anything monetarily because I wasn't bringing anything in. You know, here he was making all bacon and I was just going and spending it, and I felt really, really guilty. I felt like any type of remark that he would make about money was just a stab or an attack at me, and I was just kind of like, whoa, like I can't allow this anxiety to overtake me when it comes to money and finances in our marriage. And I realized, and it took some time, ladies, but I did realize that I contributed to the family in many, many ways. Not necessarily bringing home a paycheck, excuse me, but I was able to, you know, brainstorm ideas where we could save in certain areas of our budget to kind of help make the whole bank account look better and make more sense. So that is powerful and is a wonderful position of influence in itself. And one of the things that my husband did to kind of help me out was he was just like, okay, babe, like, you pay the bills, you be in charge to see all the money that's coming in and how all of the money is going out. So that we can, one, stay on the budget that we created, and two, so I can have an understanding for myself and not be completely blind or in the dark about the finance background of our marriage. I know what this bill is. I know how much money needs to be paid that month for that particular bill, and I understand what we're left with. And so I don't know, in a way that kind of gave me more self-esteem about the whole matter, because he looked at it as a chore doing bills, and I looked at it as a way of I'm knowledgeable about the family's bank, if you will. And I know a lot of women sometimes will admit that they don't know what's being paid. They don't know how much money is going out. They probably don't even know how much money is coming in the door every month. But you can gain influence and power to have that type of responsibility. And for me, it really provided me with that comfort, and, you know, the acknowledgement of I can provide for my family. I'm an asset for my family, and you know, I matter. And then when I started making money, I was able to kind of look at it as a humble factor, instead of, you know, oh, now I make money, now, you know, it's not just your money in the pot, it's both of ours. So I got my play money over here and you got yours. No, it was kind of like, okay, like, now I'm able to contribute some green and add to the pot, and that's a rewarding feeling. But I'm not going to throw it in your face, because I understand how everything works now. Because finances shouldn't ruin a marriage. You can conquer this. You're greater than your finances. Number 3 is the big I word, and that's intimacy. I wasn't very experienced in that department, unlike my husband. Now let me tell you, he wasn't like this super duper big player who had a girl every week. No, it wasn't that big of a deal, but he was definitely more experienced than I was. So when we got married, you know, here's that enemy coming in, wanting to say, oh, you know, you don't know what you're doing, you're not good enough for him, what if he's thinking about other women, you know, when you're being intimate with your husband, and all of this. I had all of those worries, and so I just, you know, said to myself, look, we need to address this, because I can't keep this inside of me. It's going to eat me alive. And he could tell, like, whenever we, you know, have those moments or share those moments, that it was just something wasn't right. Something was off. We weren't connecting fully. And so I just, you know, was very open, and he provided a safe environment for me to share without any judgment, and I was able to just kind of voice my concerns and ask questions as well, like, you know, what do you think about this, or, you know, what are you thinking, or, you know, how do you feel afterwards? You know, I would ask him, like, is there anything else that, you know, I could do? Can you, like, show me what you would like? Or, you know, it's just one of those things where I didn't want him to resort to pornography. I didn't want him to resort to finding another avenue of pleasure, or something that could, you know, rise to the level of his intimacy. He's a very loving person, if that makes sense. He has a very high appetite for intimacy. Have these candid, really strong conversations, and don't feel like you have to cover yourself or hide yourself, you know, from your spouse. No, you should be naked and unashamed in front of your man. Right now, are we perfect? You know, do we have certain situations or certain times where we go, you know, without sex longer than we should on certain occasions because we're busy? Of course. And then we quickly realize that we have, and we correct the situation. 4 is balance. This is something that I really struggled with when I got married. And when I say balance, I mean the balance of oneness, but not losing who you are in the process. So Trey is a very interactive, extroverted personality, and he had no problem with keeping his friendships, keeping his social life outside of what we do alive. I, on the other hand, struggled with it. I kind of got into this whole wife married bubble and closed myself out to different relationships that I'd cultivated from high school, and lost touch with a lot of people who were even in my wedding. And you know, back then I can remember very distinctly that I had a lot of lonely days, a lot of just introspective moments where I'm like, what happened? At the same time now, I am thankful for what happened, because it allowed me to really rely on the Lord in prayer and meditation, for me to understand the seasons of relationships and what that all means. And I was able to kind of like come out of that funk and realize that I am a new person when I get married. There's a new version of myself. You are going to be different, you know, once you transition from singlehood to marriage. It's gonna happen. There are going to be transitions of your relationships in your life. It's going to happen, and it's okay. Yes, there are gonna be times where you're like, I don't want this to happen, I don't want this to change, but change is inevitable. You've made a really big decision in your life that requires change. So the ripple effect is very likely and very natural to occur. Looking back, if I would tell myself something differently, I would say to make more of an effort for a social life. Just doing things that I love, going to the movies, reading a little bit more, just trying to find what I liked, and not necessarily trying to wrap myself up in Trey and doing things with him all the time, and you know, concerning myself with his well-being, versus just, it's okay for me to have a girls' night out, and I shouldn't feel guilty about it. I shouldn't feel like I need to be doing this or that for the house. It's perfectly fine. So that balance of not losing myself and realizing who I was and my worth and my purpose and my gifts. Sorry if I'm rambling, y'all, but that's pretty much the reason behind me creating Beautifully Made, because I was in such a depressing state that I really lost touch with who I was. So I wanted to create something that constantly reminded me of that. And here we are today, come a long way. So I encourage you to do the same for yourself. Don't give up on yourself. You're worth too much. Know that you're loved, but first and foremost, you should love yourself, because I truly don't believe that you can welcome love in and receive love in from others if you don't love yourself first. Okay, last thing, number 5, that is the vision for the family. Let me tell you something. It is a beautiful thing when a husband and wife can be on one accord about the vision for the family, goals, different things like that. I mean, this is a big umbrella of things. And that involves good communication. There should be open communication between you and your spouse about what you all see for each other. Long-term goals, short-term goals, family number, where you're going to worship, different things that can really come into a new marriage and serve as an attack in some way because you're not seeing eye to eye. So Trey and I sit down around the new year for almost every year to kind of get an idea, like a roadmap, if you will, of what we plan to do for that year. And we kind of, you know, encourage each other, make mental notes in our head of, all right, like this is what you want to do, this is what I want to do, this is what we want to come together and do collectively as a family. Let's hold each other accountable and, you know, make it happen. And it's okay when things don't go as planned. You all are able to recognize that and make adjustments when necessary as a unit, as a team, because you know, that's your team partner. This is your life mate. You do this thing together. And although it's a total cliche statement, you all are one, you know, like you are definitely one. You are a reflection of him. She is a reflection of you. And so the decisions that you make together are powerful. I just feel like when you have that grace and agreement in a marriage and you come together and you are so powerful, you are a force that can't be reckoned with. You can do so many more things as a unit, and it's amazing. It's an amazing thing that happens. If you are married or if you are engaged at this time, I just want to pray for your marriage. I want to pray for a strong foundation of communication and love and respect, of forgiveness, and the ability for you to know that your spouse is not your problem. You're not here to change him or her. What you're here to do is to see who can outserve the other person. And that is definitely what helped Trey and I, and what continues to help anchor this marriage for what it is today. We want to see marriage work for individuals, and we understand that the people in marriage aren't perfect, but the concept of marriage is perfect. It is ordained by God. It's something that He created, and we recognize that as husband and wife that we're not perfect in it, but marriage does work, and our marriage will work. It will not fail. We will not accept that. And so I pray that for you. I pray that you all have that understanding and that agreement that your marriage does work, it will last a lifetime, and you will be able to touch other people in their marriages just by the beauty and the light that comes from your own. So yeah, y'all got me on my soapbox today. I hope that this was helpful. There are definitely many other things that I could have touched on, but this video would have been super long, so I only did 5. But definitely please leave a comment below with any suggestions that you'd like to hear me speak on in future videos, and I'm more than willing to do that for you guys. I'm really excited about this. For those of you who were asking, Trey and I do plan on doing a marriage series, so we will be discussing things as a couple. But if there's certain things about singlehood or married life or mom life, just things that are more specific to the woman that you would like to know, please feel free to leave that information below. I will see you guys next Sunday, because as you know, I post a new video to this channel every Sunday. If you are not subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe today. It's totally free. You'll become a lovey and join this pretty awesome community we got going on here. All right, see you guys then. Bye.